Hey everyone, welcome back. So, you've probably heard Donald Trump saying that the golden age of America has already begun. Sounds great, right? But let's take a step back and look at the actual data. Today, we're diving deep into inflation, the job market, economic growth, the stock market, and even Bitcoin to see if the numbers actually back up that claim. Now, just to be clear, this isn't about opinions. I give my takes in other videos, but not this one. Today, I'm just here to break down the facts. No spin, no predictions, just what's actually happening. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts. So drop a comment below as we go through this. All right, let's start with something that affects everyone. Inflation. Inflation. Is it really under control? One of Trump's major promises when he was campaigning was to end inflation and make America affordable again. That's a bold statement, but what does the data actually say? Well, the latest CPI, Consumer Price Index report, was just released, and inflation for February came in at 2.8%. That's lower than expected and down from 3.0% in January. Core inflation, which removes food and energy costs, also dropped from 3.3% to 3.1%. So, if you look at the overall trend, inflation is cooling down compared to where it was in 2022 and 2023. But here's where things get tricky. The cost of housing, food, and services, the things people actually spend money on daily, is still rising. Shelter costs have gone up 4.2% year over year. Energy prices are down slightly by 0.2%, which is a small win for consumers. Services inflation remains high at 4.1%, meaning things like healthcare, insurance, and transportation are still expensive. Food prices increased by 2.6%, and within that, egg prices jumped 58.8%, coffee rose 6%, and meat went up 3.8%. So, while inflation is technically down, people aren't really feeling it, because they're still paying more for the things they need most. And that brings up a key question. If inflation is down, why aren't prices dropping? The answer is sticky inflation. Some prices, like rent and groceries, tend to stay high even when inflation slows down. So, even if the official numbers look good, the real-world impact is much more complicated. Now let's talk about the job market, because this is where things get interesting. The February jobs report showed that the U.S. added 151,000 jobs, which is below expectations. Economists were hoping for 170,000. And while 151,000 jobs sounds like a lot, it's actually one of the weakest reports we've seen in months. At the same time, unemployment ticked up from 4.0% to 4.1%, and the Federal Reserve is expecting that number to hit 4.3% by the end of 2025. Now let's break down where the jobs are coming from. Healthcare and social assistance added 6,800 jobs. Financial services added 21,000 jobs. Construction added 19,000 jobs. But some industries are losing jobs. Professional and business services, retail, and hospitality, all industries that depend on consumer spending, are seeing layoffs. Another interesting point is that government jobs overall increased, but federal jobs actually dropped by 10,000. And if you've been seeing layoffs in the news, you're not alone. Big tech companies, financial firms, and even some retail giants have been cutting jobs, and experts warn that this could be the start of a bigger slowdown in hiring. All right, now for the big question. Are we heading toward a recession? Right now, U.S. GDP is still growing. The economy expanded by 2.3% in Q4 of 2024, which is a healthy rate. Over the past 2 years, we've been in the 2 to 3% growth range, which is solid. But there's a huge red flag. The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta is now forecasting that Q1 2025 GDP will shrink by 2.4%. If that happens, it would be the biggest economic contraction since the pandemic in 2020. Trump himself was asked whether he sees a recession coming, and here's what he said.
You know, the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big.
So he's not ruling it out, but is still optimistic. Meanwhile, Commerce Secretary Lutnick completely dismissed the idea, saying there's no chance of a recession. Listen to what he said.
All right, Mr. Secretary, consumer sentiment is dropping. Inflation has ticked up. Major banks like J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs now say a recession in the next 12 months is becoming more likely. Should Americans brace for a recession?
Absolutely not. Anybody who bets against Donald Trump, it's like the same people who thought Donald Trump wasn't a winner a year ago. Donald Trump is a winner. He's going to win for the American people. That's just the way it's going to be. There's going to be no recession in America. What there's going to be is global tariffs are going to come down because President Trump has said, you want to charge us 100%? We're going to charge you 100%. And you know what they say? They say, no, don't charge us 100%. We'll bring ours down. We'll unleash America out to the world, grow our economy in a way we've never grown before. You are going to see over the next 2 years the greatest set of growth coming from America as Americans. You saw it, 1.3 trillion of new investment coming in America. Think of all those jobs. And remember, each trillion of investment in America is 1% of growth GDP. So Donald Trump is bringing growth to America. I would never bet on recession. No chance.
But not everyone is convinced. As you heard, major banks like J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs have been warning that a recession is becoming more likely. So, we have two completely different perspectives. Who's right? That's something we'll have to see in the months ahead. Now let's talk about the stock market. The S&P 500 has been struggling, and a lot of that comes down to uncertainty around tariffs and trade policies. Trump's stance on global tariffs has created volatility in the markets, and some investors are worried that these policies could slow down growth. When Trump was asked about the stock market's drop, here's what he said.
Mr. President, you mentioned the ups and downs in the stock market. You said it'll go up, it'll go down. But do you and your tariff policies right now bear any responsibility for the turmoil we're seeing this week?
Biden gave us a horrible economy. He gave us horrible inflation. And I think the market was going to go very, very bad. If anything, I have a lot of very smart people, friends of mine and great businessmen. They're now investing because of what I'm doing. Because long term, what I'm doing is making our country strong again. Financially strong, militarily strong, and strong if we want to get away. Remember this, we have wars. When I left, we had no wars. We didn't have Ukraine and Russia. We didn't have October 7th. We didn't have that disaster that took place with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And you look at what's happened there. We caught the major terrorist, which Biden wouldn't have caught. Why didn't he catch him? I caught him. 5 weeks into the presidency, I caught the man responsible for Abigail. And he's going to pay hell right now. He's a bad dude. He's a bad guy. But we didn't have these problems. I had no inflation. I had a great economy. He gave you high prices. You couldn't buy bacon. You couldn't buy anything. And also, I inherited a situation with eggs. The price of eggs was through the roof. Well, now the price of eggs has come down a lot. Interest rates have come down. Gasoline prices have come down. It's all coming down. It's all a beautiful thing. I can do it the right way, the wrong way. We're doing it the right way. And I have tremendous confidence in this country and the people of this country. Tremendous confidence, much more so than if I sat back for 4 years and had a good time in the Oval Office.
Trump basically blames Biden for stock market drops, denies tariffs have had any impact. And then there's Bitcoin. Since Trump took office, Bitcoin has been rallying, and he's been vocal about wanting to make the U.S. a crypto-friendly country. That could be a huge shift, but it also raises concerns about lack of regulation and financial risks. So, is Bitcoin set for a massive boom, or are we in for another crypto crash? We'll find out soon enough. And here's where we stand. Inflation is technically down, but people are still feeling the pinch. The job market is slowing, with layoffs increasing in some industries. The economy is showing signs of contraction, but not everyone agrees on whether a recession is coming. The stock market is uncertain, and Bitcoin is surging under Trump's crypto-friendly policies. I'm holding off on giving any strong predictions for now. I want to see how things play out. But I want to hear from you. Do you think the economy is improving, Or are we heading for a recession? Drop a comment and let's talk about it. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.